Good morning, everyone, and welcome on this beautiful July morning. Who would have thought that it being July and Minnesota and Montana would be a lot hotter than Florida? We're the cool part of the country right now. So it's good to start our board meeting here today, and we have several momentous occasions happening at today's board meeting. We'll go ahead and get started by asking you all to please stand. And Trustee Deborah Gibbons has been kind enough to give us the blessing, and then we will have the pledge to the flag.
Would you bow your heads, please? Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for allowing us to see another day. We thank you for allowing us to come here today and to serve the people of this community and the people of this college. We thank you for our employees. We thank you for our president. We thank you for our board. Give all of us the wisdom, the know-how, and the knowledge, Father God, to move this place forward to help change lives for the better of our entire community. We say thank you today, Lord, for all the blessings that you bestowed upon each and every one of us in every kind of way. You let us see another day. You let us drive what we want to drive. You put roofs over our heads. There are so many, Father God, who don't have the things that we have. So we come to you today just saying thank you. And Lord, we ask that you guide us, keep us in our lives, our everyday lives, Lord. Protect us. Put your angels, your order of your angels around us, and continue to protect us from hurt, harm, and danger. And then, Lord, as we leave this place, after we have given all that we have to give to this college and to this community in this meeting, Lord, give us traveling grace to and fro. All these blessings I ask in your Son, Jesus' name, in whom I pray, and in whose name you may pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Deborah. That was beautifully done. I know your dad's a pastor. Are you vying for his job there? Yeah, that was just superb. Excellent. We have some nice presentations to our retirees, and Dr. Law.
First, we have two faculty retirees. Both are well known to me and people who I'll make it through this, but not easily. Dr. Delia Palermo. Delia. Dr. Delia Palermo began her career as a communications instructor on the Clearwater campus of St. Petersburg College in 1982. Dr. Delia Palermo has served as a role model for students and has long been recognized for her excellence in the classroom, teaching diverse populations, basic writing, and a variety of composition courses. Dr. Palermo has a long record of public service, including participation on Tampa's Hispanic Advisory Council since 1995, the Independent Review of Jails Commission for Hillsborough County, Sister Cities Committee for the City of Tampa, and the Community Enrichment Grants Committee for the Sheriff's Office. And whereas Dr. Palermo, who was born in Ybor City, has taken over 1,000 students to the Ybor City Museum over the last 10 years, addressing the architectural, historical, social, and cultural aspects of life in Ybor City. And whereas Dr. Palermo's care for her students has been a hallmark of her professional life, we wish her happiness in her retirement as she travels, spends time with her family, and continues to volunteer for her favorite charities. Now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions of Dr. Delia Palermo and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead, adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees this 19th day of July, 2011.
I wasn't expecting to say anything, but I think what I'd like to tell you is it's been 30 years at the college, 40 years of teaching overall, and it was magical. I cannot think of a better profession, honestly. Rock star diva, English professor. English professor won every time. Thank you for the privilege. I will always be SPC. Thank you.
Thank you. Ooh, and then Karen Estes.
Martha back.
Whoops. Karen Estes began her career as a mathematics instructor on the Tarpon Springs campus of St. Petersburg College, formerly St. Petersburg Junior College, in 1983, and later in 2006 joined the mathematics program at St. Petersburg Gibbs. And whereas Karen became the cluster coordinator of the mathematics program at Tarpon Springs under the program director Trudy Williams, Karen's dedication to the Flamingo Project brought Macintosh computers to St. Petersburg College. She was the first instructor to teach statistics online. And whereas Karen was in Who's Who Among American Teachers in '94, also in Who's Who of American Women 1997-98, Dr. Estes also received the Faculty Scholar Award from Phi Theta Kappa in 2011. She was captain of the award-winning Math Counts Relay for Life team from 2008 to 2011. And whereas Karen is known to all of her students as a dedicated teacher whose door was always open to her students and who spent many hours each week tutoring, guiding, and assisting them along their academic paths, and whereas Karen continually sought ways to improve her teaching, often through the use of creative software packages, relevant Java applets, and discoveries that others had made, and which she was quick to share with her colleagues. And whereas Karen has a warm and generous spirit, we wish her happiness in her retirement as she travels and spends time with her family and loved ones. Now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions of Dr. Karen Estes and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead. Said resolution being adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees, St. Petersburg College, this 19th day of July, 2011.
I've been here 28 years, and this has been a major part of my life. I've really loved teaching for St. Pete College. It's been great to work with students. It's been great to work with staff. And if I were leaving just one little piece of advice for the college, I would be afraid of one speak, where we just try to have everything be the same. I would embrace diversity. And I really mean like in textbooks or faculty or whatever. This is a great place to work. Thank you.
Thank you. You get this, and then we take pictures. Step up here. Some faculty colleagues. Thanks.
Thank you.
Now the board gets to make a recognition to a very special person in our lives, and I would ask for Kim Corey and her husband Bob to please come forward. The board only has one employee, and that's the college president, but we feel we have a second in the board secretary because the board secretary is holds so many responsibilities for the board. Presidents often joke about the caring and feeding of boards, and really that task is oftentimes delegated to the board secretary. And you don't know we're a nice group, but we're a little bit tough group at times to make happy. And we like changing our plans and changing them constantly, and always to the frustration of the board secretary. But in this case, Kim never showed any frustration in dealing with the board. And she's dealt with many members of the board, not only this board up here, but the people who preceded us on this board, and working closely with them, and they all admire you so much. I know Susan Jones always speaks so highly of you, and the other people who served, Ken Welch, and obviously Cecil Keene, who's departed, and before that, the whole board, which you went through the transition with, and you served us all so ably well. The book of Ecclesiastes says, and sorry I'm into your territory here, Reverend. Take it away. There's a time for every purpose and a season for, let me get it right. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. And your season with us has been a great season, Kim, a great season with this board. And you're doing something, a new time and a new purpose that's coming up for you. And if I worked on the college campus, I want to be where the students are. And that's what you're going to get to do. And I know that's going to make you, it is already making you very happy. And you're dealing with students who are high-achieving students because you'll be dealing with the dual credit students from high school who are taking the benefit of being here at St. Petersburg College. And I can't think of a better person to work with them than you, Kim. You'll give them the same love and care you've given these boards and the board members throughout since 1995 as our board secretary. And not only did she care about each board member, but the technical part of her responsibilities of the minutes were always exceptionally done, and you don't realize how important the minutes are until you rely on the minutes and have to go back and look at things, and then you realize and appreciate that this, what some may consider a rather mundane task, is actually something which is extremely critical to a board, that the historic record is preserved so well and in so much detail, and that is appreciated. All the tasks that she's performed for this board. And Kim, I know, looks much, 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 much younger than I am, but we both graduated from this college in 1979 together. I have to mention that, so that gives away her age somewhat. That's right. We did. We were part of the completion agenda. We got our degrees. And I want to give each board member the opportunity. And Deron, would you like to kick us off, please?
See, it's already started. I come up, she says, watch it. When I came on this board, I was kind of a wild man, I think Kim thought. And we were all over the place. Kim, you're going to be missed. You have not only become a friend, you and your husband. You know, my dad's a Baptist minister, as Ken said earlier, but I went to worship at their church, and then everybody made me feel like I was at home. And Kim and her husband have made me feel like I'm a part of their family. Every time you talk to this lady, she's calm, cool, and collected. And I wasn't always so calm, cool, and collected. She loves this place. She loves the people that are here, and it shows and it shines through her every day. Everybody she touches, I think, I've never seen Kim meet anybody who hasn't immediately become a friend or that she couldn't give a kind word to. She's just a jewel of a person. You married a jewel of a person, and you're going to be sorely missed. I don't want to stand here and cry, so I'm going to stop now. But Kim, you're going to be missed. Wherever you go, I know that people's lives will be changed because of you. And I know that you will continue to be the shining star, the example for people of how to go through things. There have been times when it's been tough for me personally, mentally, whatever. And Kim's just the kind of person, she can hear it in your voice. And through the phone, she'd say, all right, what's wrong? You know, maybe you need to pray about it. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you need to do that. And I guess I say all that to say, I'm here for you guys whenever you need me. And I wish you well in your new capacity. But I'm sure I'm so glad, and I said it to Dr. Law, I'm so glad that it's at the college, because I think students need people like you. I think young people need people like you and your family who will help them move forward in their life in a positive manner. And I think that's what we all want to accomplish. But I think if any of you disagree with what I'm saying, whenever you've met her, she's met you with a hug and a smile. And sometimes that's what people need. So, thank you.
Well, Kim, I'm not going to repeat everything Devon said, because everything Devon said was, I agree 100% with. As a trustee, without Kim, you wonder, because sometimes on a Saturday, I would put together an email with some questions I might have, and lo and behold, I'd get an answer back Saturday night. So she was really a 24/7 gal, and we really appreciate that, because you've devoted the extra time, the extra effort to make our life a little bit easier as trustees, and we just can't thank you enough for that. And we are going to miss you. I know you've got a great replacement, but you were so involved in the job. You made sure at graduation we were all in a position, and to control us in the back of the line, I know was hard, but you did it. You got us all where we're supposed to go. And you were there when we needed it. Like I said, you were 24/7, more than I ever expected. I'm sure that it took away from your family life, but maybe we, in a way, were your family, and we still think of you as part of our family. And we would wish you well, certainly, in your new endeavors. I'm sure that you'll do just as good a job there as you have done here. And like I said, Kim, we're going to love you forever, and you may leave this position, but you're probably not going to leave our hearts. And we thank you for it.
I'll start with that. It must have been fate or something, but about 2 months after I got appointed to this board, I went to an FSU football game. One of my boys was up there at the time, and sitting right behind us in that row was Kim and Bob. And I thought, wow, now this is some great plan at work here, and from that point forward, I feel like we have been friends. In many ways. Sorry.
I just thought maybe you was headed to hell.
Okay. My comments, I obviously agree with everybody here. This is a great lady, a great professional. And my comments, I'm going to keep very brief, but I want to bring us back to a time when we were going through a presidential search. And we had a lot of very long and sometimes difficult meetings, including meetings for the search committee. And this lady was responsible for those minutes. And I had several conversations with her during that period of time. And she was under a lot of stress because she realized the pressure that was on her to maintain a record of accuracy. And it turned out that we needed that record of accuracy to prove that we were doing the right thing. And for my personal perspective, I will be forever indebted to your service during that period of time in the history of this college, because without your incredible integrity and professionalism, we could have been in trouble. So I commend you for that.
Kim, words cannot express how bad I feel because you're leaving us. And I want to thank you for your service. You've been a great employee, and Bob, you put up with a lot, I know. So I found out this morning that she has never taken a 2-week vacation. Bob told me this because she wanted to stay at the college. She didn't want to miss anything. So what an employee you've been. And you've been there for all of us. We've made you miserable, changing our schedules all the time. But I want to thank you for your service, and you'll be missed.
Ken, may I?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, Ken, for giving me the opportunity. I was on the board in 1995 when Kim first started. I think she was 17, somewhere near there. We wondered if someone that young could handle the responsibility, and she took it on, and she did beautifully. And aside, and I know not part of her duties, but I always had a Diet Coke, and I survived. I'm still here today because of the Diet Coke, Kim. And so I personally thank you. I know that her heart has always been with St. Petersburg College, and because of that dedication, she's done some very difficult things for the college, and they've not gone unnoticed. And so we thank you very much. Bob, thank you.
If the board would join us up here, we have a few presentations to make to Kim. Kim, I guess these flowers are not for Bob, they're for you. I want you to enjoy those. And Terry, would you read the inscription on the plaque, please? Oh, yes, grab his glasses. It's not embarrassing. He wants to get it right, though.
Presented to Kim Corey, July 19, 2011, in recognition and appreciation for your exemplary service as staff assistant to the Board of Trustees, 1995 to 2011. Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be afraid.
I just want to say thank you. This is very awkward, but thank you very much. You guys have been an honor to work for. It's been a privilege. And you're in good hands. Marcia and Courtney will take great care of you. Don't forget me, call me, and thank you. I'm enjoying my portable, your beloved portables at Clearwater. I'm in one, and they're great. So thanks. I look forward to working with students.
disappointing to hear you're dismissed from this board meeting.
Yeah, right.
Bob, just take care of it.
Okay. I know when you all have someone leave your department, you generally have a department party for them. The board has to do everything so visibly, so we appreciate everyone's courtesy during this time where we have to do our departmental goodbye in this public forum. But it's very important to us that we recognize Kim for her many contributions to us. Section 1001.61 of the Florida statutes require that each year at the July meeting, the College Board of Trustees shall organize by electing a chair whose duty it shall be to preside at all meetings, to call special meetings of the board, and to attest to actions of the board, and the board should also elect a vice chair to act as chair during the absence or disability of the chair. At this time, I would like to request that President Law, as Secretary of the Board of Trustees, assume the role of the chair temporarily and preside over the nomination and election process of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to the statutory requirements regarding such, I now open the floor for nominations for Chair of the Board of Trustees for the 2011-2012 fiscal year.
Mr. Secretary.
Yes, Trustee Gibbons.
Nominate Mr. Terrence Brett as Chair of the Board of Trustees. I'd like to make that nomination for the year of 2011 and 2012.
I would
Second.
like to second that motion.
We have a s-
And just as a passing thought, I personally want to thank Mr. Ken Burke for a tremendous job as chair.
Thank you.
And certainly congratulate him as he moves forward to represent not only this college, but the state of Florida in the third such happening of a commission, which is going to, it's the 21st Century Commission on the Future of Community Colleges. And to have a representative as a fellow trustee on a commission of this nature, he's the only trustee of 30-some people who are going to meet this next year to address the future of the community college system. And it's probably now going to be called, a lot of places, the state community college system. And Ken, this is going to be a tremendous job for you, but I can't think of anybody better to undertake this because of your involvement in our system, both locally as a trustee, statewide, and nationally, because you served as the president of our association. So I wish you well in this task and congratulate you on the tremendous job you've done this past year.
Thank you, Dick. That's very kind of you.
I want to
Appreciate
second that and congratulate you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
I've already lost control of the meeting. It didn't take me 40 seconds to lose control. Just a second. We have
Thank
a nomination and a second,
I move nominations be closed.
and I think that is a point of
And
order.
we
so they are
elect
closed
by
then.
unanimous consent Terry Brett.
You have the motion in front of you to elect by unanimous consent. Mr. Terry Brett, all in favor, please signify by saying
Aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Mr. Brett, congratulations.
I now open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Brett?
Sir.
I nominate Devron Gibbons for vice chair.
And I second it.
If there are no further nominations, I declare that the nominations be closed. And I'd like to call for a vote on the nomination of Mr. Gibbons as vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chair, may I give a brief comment?
Certainly.
Many of you, all of you know that as board members, we cannot talk to each other about board business at all. And believe me, that is very difficult. As Mr. Lang probably knows better than anybody else after all the years of being on this board. I want to thank Mr. Burke for not just being an excellent board chair, but a phenomenal board member. It didn't take you being chair to be a leader on this board. Ken and I have grown to be very close friends, actually through business. A.M. Scott does a lot of business with the county and especially with the clerk of the court now.
You brought in $143,000 for us last month.
And I get a quarter off every one of those. Ken, you're a phenomenal person, a phenomenal guy. You have been a champion for this college because of your love for the college. And I just wanted to say this morning that, you know, we may give you some token of a plaque or something for being a chairman for the last year. But in my eyes, you have been chairman for a very long time. You are you know, I will lie to you if I tell you sometimes I sit over here and I'm frustrated at the fact that you asked that extra question. But it's needed. And it's out of love and it's out of respect for the institution. And if all of us can serve 50% of the way that you serve, Ken, not just as chair, but as an individual on the board, then I think we're in good hands. And so I just wanted to say thank you this morning for all that you've done, all that you'll continue to do, and especially for taking the time for like Kim this morning, the thing with Kim. I mean, you took the time to do that, and you pulled all of us together on that. I mean, that's just you, and we really appreciate you, and I really appreciate you, and I really appreciated your leadership over the past year. So thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Rule 6H 23-1.04 of the Board of Trustees Rules and Procedures of St. Petersburg College requires that the board establish a schedule at its annual organizational meeting each July for its regular meetings for the college's fiscal year, including the day, time, and location. And I would like to propose the following schedule for fiscal year 2011-2012. And that would be for this board to meet on the third Tuesday of every month at 8:30 in the morning here at the Epicenter or at another location that may be determined as we move through the year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mr.
Motion
Chair,
carries. Yes.
usually we do the emergency board at this time, so I propose that we make the fourth Tuesday of the month our emergency board meeting time in case we cannot meet on the third Tuesday, excuse me.
Second?
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The last item on our organizational agenda is the appointment of board members to direct support organizations. And currently, Mr. Burke serves as our representative for the Alumni Association. Mr. Johnston serves as our representative for the St. Pete College Foundation. And Ms. Bilirakis serves as our representative for the Leeper Ratner Museum of Art. Is everyone okay with those appointments as they are?
Yes.
Okay, motion to,
So move.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Thank you very much. We're on to item agenda number 3. And I would like to just make a couple of comments. First and foremost, to thank Mr. Burke for his year as chairman. Back when Tom Furlong was serving as our interim president, we, as a board, presented a proclamation to Ken recognizing his service to our college and to this board. And it was very fitting, and it was very appropriate. And it listed the incredible record of service that Ken has had to this institution. And I believe that, you know, I've sat on a lot of boards over the years, and lots of boards like to give each other awards and things like that, and that's all great. But what we just witnessed over the last month or so is a recognition of Ken that comes nationally in a recognition of his leadership as a trustee and his knowledge and grasp of the incredible issues and challenges that are facing community colleges and higher education around the country. And I think I just loved the timing of that as he is passing the gavel as chair. And for him to receive that appointment to this national commission, I think is the finest tribute that anybody could receive in recognition of what he's done for this college. And I just want to commend you on that and thank you for your service.
Well spoken, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'm going to reserve any of my other comments on some other items we might touch on a little bit later, but would like to open up to other board members. Mr. Gibbons, anything? Mr. Johnston?
Yeah, just a couple things. Just to inform the board, we had a 90th birthday party again for one of our foundation board members, Bill Emerson.
Oh, really?
Who has long served on the foundation board, and we had a very, I think, very nice ceremony for him and played him on the stage. And that was done, Francis, I don't recall exactly the date, last week or week before, which I think is a nice thing to do because we've had 2 of those. And we found out that Helen Leslie, who had our previous 90th birthday a few weeks or a month before that, they had known each other since 2nd grade. They were in 2nd grade together, graduated from this institution together, and one went on to Auburn and one went on to Florida. So our foundation is still very much at work.
Wonderful.
And I thought it was a very good ceremony. And I do want to thank the President's office for helping me this last couple weeks registering for a class. I ran into the open door policy, which closed me out because I wasn't qualified to be a student because I couldn't meet the prerequisites because they knew I had a degree, but I had no class records on place. And I've talked to Patrick a little bit about that to kind of put maybe a check valve in place, because there are people who may want to come back just to take a class, and it's an audit class without a degree, and I would encourage that we change our policy a little bit so that someone that wants to come back and pay their money and take the class just for their self-enrichment, that they be allowed to do that and not end up with this red X. I knew exactly what to do to call the president's office. But I'm fearful that maybe other students wouldn't know what to do.
No, sir, they call the president's office too.
That's good, that's good. But I'll try to be a good student and not embarrass anybody. I've talked to the instructor, and he feels satisfied with me not having, the requisite was college writing. And I explained to him, I haven't done any college writing in 50 years, and I didn't do a good job then, and I'm sure I would do a worse job today. But I just wanted to bring that up as we hold ourselves out as an open door policy, but yet if you don't have your records on file and you want to take a class, you have to kind of work around it a little bit. And I almost think that if we're going to announce ourselves as open door, that we make the door open to those that want to come and take a class. Just a suggestion. I've talked to Dr. Law about it. He's thoroughly familiar with it. I think he agrees with even my solution. So I thought I'd just pass that on to the board.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Berg?
First of all, thank you again for those very nice comments. And Terry, you'll do a magnificent job as you did before for us as chair. The only thing that I would like to mention is I'm very pleased that the college participated in the Hispanic Coalition Luncheon. And the college was nominated for 2 awards at that luncheon. It was a very positive occasion. Probably 200 people were there. The college sponsored a table. I was there as a clerk, and was pleased to get there, and the pleasant surprise of seeing the college's active participation there and being nominated for 2 awards. And this is obviously a growing population in Pinellas County. And Dr. Law, I thank you for your participation in getting the college even more involved in their new organization, the Intercultural Council, and that's a very good thing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bilirakis?
Well, I don't have no further comments, except I want to congratulate Ken on his new appointment. You deserve it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. President?
Thank you very much. I want to just touch base on a handful of items in the most recent past, just visibility for the college through or with the president. I did have occasion, I think I'd mentioned to you, to represent us at an Achieving the Dream conference at Columbia University in New York on the 23rd of June. The work that we're doing, focusing on students, continues to be of interest, and there's some, they're actually working on some how-to-do-it kinds of things in support of other institutions, so it was kind of fun. We mentioned the intercultural outreach. Congratulations, many of you were at our luncheon for the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions, the event over at Seminole Campus. David and Janet and Jim and all of that staff did a great job. That event was really important to us, and I think it came off really nicely. We were delighted with the reaction and the support from Representative Young, who had invested a great deal of his time and talent to make that happen. So I thought that came off really, really well. We did last week host a blue ribbon event right here in this room, the Florida Chamber of Commerce Foundation, which is really the policy development arm of the Florida Chamber, which is the lobbying arm. Hosted a statewide meeting. We had 115 civic leaders from throughout the state using our collaborative labs approach to develop what they call their 6 pillars, how Florida can go forward in the next 20 years. And Andrea and her team, they were all hands on deck to handle 115 high-power people. About midway through the morning, I 911 to Ken and said, "You have to come and see this. These are serious people, all engaged." It was a really nice day for all of us, and the Chamber Foundation was really appreciative. Next week, we have Representative...
Dr. Law, can you mention that your position there, because you're on the statewide board, which I think is outstanding.
Yes, well, thank you. I had been with them, and then in the transition had gotten off and have been invited back on the board of the Florida Chamber Foundation, and I much enjoyed doing that work, touching base statewide on key public policy issues. So I think it's a nice role for the president. I like those folks. Next week, Representative Marlene O'Toole, who chairs the Higher Education Committee in the House of Representatives. We met with Representative O'Toole when we were up there back in February, I guess that was, or March. She was not able to be here the day the Higher Ed Coordinating Council was on campus, so we have rescheduled her, and she'll spend the day with us next week, touching base on items of interest and importance to all of us. I'm very proud among working it out, but we will ask Margaret Sullivan, the campus president for USF St. Pete, to join us for lunch. So we want to continue to send the signal that working together really does pay dividends. We don't need any more help from the state level to cause us to do that. So that's all good. I will be meeting with the board, the editorial board of the St. Pete Times on August 3rd. Annual meeting. They were kind enough to, I contacted them and said, probably time to touch base. Let me walk you through what we've got in our budget, where we're headed, what the new initiatives are. So they were kind enough to pick that up, and we'll do that August 3rd. If you don't have enough to do on July 28th, though, the Suncoast Business Forum, which is a half-hour show that runs on WEDU. I did that taping last week, and it was a very rewarding experience to, again, talk about the role that we have in the community. And then I'll finish, because we do have a presentation today, but please note on August 18th, the fall faculty welcome back. And I am as excited as I have been about the nature of that. We will be recognizing the Faculty Emeritus Award winners as part of that, so it's going to be a great historical and tradition. And then some of the new things that we have coming over the horizon are just, I think, really uplifting, and I would hope the Faculty Governance Organization has done a great work putting this morning together. We kind of have shifted that burden out of the President's office and asked the faculty to take leadership in putting that together. Please, please, please put it on your calendar. I know some of you were there last year. You're more than welcome to come. It's going to be a wonderful morning. Come for as long or as little as your calendar will permit. We'll get the details out, but it is the morning of the 18th. Mr. Chairman, that is more than you wanted to know about the President.
Thank you, sir. On to item 4. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes, please, of June 21.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, the Faith United Church sale to the college closed, but we had a problem with some retaining jurisdiction at that point by the Department of Environmental Protection with regard to the fuel oil tank. We've since then received a letter requiring no further action by the college with regard to this action. We are going to pull, we've been directed to pull, and will pull the test wells that are there and will be completed. We had placed in escrow $555,000 of the proceeds. When this was done, and conferring with Susan, we were requested by the church to release as much as we could because they found a new location and have to make it suitable to act as their church. And so we retained for the pay of all the final bills $105,000, but released to them $450,000. They were very grateful.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Anything else?
Nothing further, sir.
Questions of Mr. Lang? Thank you. Ms. Gardner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, there is a short memo from me which concerns some of the legislative bills impacting the Board of Trustees. There are just several that impact the portion of the Florida statutes that have to do with Board of Trustees and their duties and responsibilities. On the back of the page, there is some of the bills that impact the Charter School Governance Board. If you would just review that, the one thing that I think I would recommend is that you consider meeting as the governance board of the charter school in the fall, in that one of the new portions of the legislation would require that you meet twice a year. And there is some business, some potential business that we'd want to address on behalf of the charter school. So if there's any questions, let me know, but I would make a recommendation, and I've conferred with Starla Metz as well, that it would be prudent to meet in the fall and then in the spring as the governance board for the charter school.
Very good. Dr. Law, that'll take care? Yeah. Okay, great.
In addition, I have provided each of you with a summary and a chart that lists out 20 of the new bills that impact the college. The chart can be found on our website, under the Board of Trustees website, under updates to Florida legislation. On the chart on the left, there's the name of the bill with a link to the actual text language, citations, and then also a column for impact on different college departments. And under each, there's a link to a summary that would be pertaining to that bill. So again, if there's any questions, you can certainly let me know, but this information and the link to these other memos can be found on the Board of Trustees website.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Ms. Gardner?
No.
Any questions? Thank you very much. We're going to now move on to item 5C, the provost reports. Dr. Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board.
Good morning.
Before I get started, I'd like to add my congratulations to you and Mr. Burke. Thank you, Mr. Burke, for your service. This morning, I want to spend a few minutes highlighting and sharing with you about the Totally Mod Artmobile, which is a traveling art venue designed in partnership with the Pinellas County Schools and the Leaper-Ratton Museum of Art. It is funded by a $15,000 donation from the Elmar Foundation, previously known as the Ellis Foundation, which was made to the Leaper-Ratton Museum of Art 501c3. The partnership is a 4-year partnership in which the Pinellas County School System provides one of 2 of their mobile art units to the Leaper-Ratton Museum to be equipped with 4 interactive art exhibits / displays, which are teacher-directed and student-centered. Community outreach. The Totally Mod Artmobile will travel to every elementary school here in Pinellas County over a period of 4 years, reaching 77 schools and over 100,000 students, as shown there at the top of the slide. This past fall, as it first started making the visit, it already visited 7 schools, and beginning this coming academic year, it will visit about 24 more schools. Goals. There are 3 goals of the Totally Mod Artmobile, as shown there at the bottom of the slide. Introducing students and families to the Leaper-Ratton Museum of Art is goal number 1. 2 is to provide an outreach venue to the Pinellas County Elementary School art teachers and helping them to teach the visual arts and modern art concepts such as modernism and abstract expressionism and others. The third goal, which I think is the most important, is to encourage students to think critically about art, beginning at a very young age. Let me share with you now about some of the design features of the Totally Mod Artmobile. There are 3 walls within the Artmobile, and they're shown there in the middle of the slide there. The first is the Tree of Isms, and there's no better way to share that with you than to have a short clip from a video that was made by Jeremy Peplow this year.
Hey guys, think they're ready for us?
Uh-oh, well, we're not ready. Guys, I think we're on right now. Hi everybody. Welcome to the Artmobile, and this is... Hey guys, I'm Haley.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Brooke. By now, as you look around, I guess you can tell where we are. This is the Totally Mod Artmobile. And our job in the Artmobile is to tell you a little bit about a style of art called modernism from the 20th century.
Wait, what is this Artmobile again?
It's a totally fun place where we can explore all different kinds of art.
You mean there's more than one kind of art?
Yes, and all the names of the different kinds of modern art end in ism. There's realism, Fauvism, Cubism, Expressionism, Surrealism, Abstract Expressionism.
All these isms sound very confusing. What do they mean?
Well, each ism represents a different style of art.
Huh?
Well, there's got to be an easier way to explain this. Haley, let's go check backstage. We'll be right back, everyone.
That clip is about a 1 minute of a 7.5 minute clip that was produced by Jeremy Peplow that's here now. It's a very powerful teaching tool. Part of what's in that clip is the students actually magically appear at the Lipa Museum of Art, and they get to give a lot of ads and props about coming to the Museum of Art and invite all of the 100,000 students and their parents to visit the Lipa Museum of Art. So it's a tremendous piece, very powerful teaching tool. And I invite you to see it. It's actually available on the webpage at the Lipa Museum of Art. The other three design walls are the compare and contrast wall. It's a wall that shows digital images of artwork by Ratner, by Gentle, and by Leeper. It talks about the elements of art such as color, repetition, style, and the effects of different colors on the warmness or coolness of art, so the students get a chance to engage in that. The interactive easel offers 2 pieces of artwork and poses 6 questions for each piece of the artwork, and the students have a chance to explore the answer to those questions and then lift a door-like mechanism to get the correct answer to that, so it can be a competitive type of engagement opportunity with the students. And then the acrylic panel, which is an acrylic wall that covers a floor-to-length piece of artwork, and the acrylic wall covers that artwork, and the students can use magic markers to mark on the acrylic wall to circle sources of light within the art or repetition within the art, or to put post-its on the art with questions that they may have. So very engaging, interactive venue for teaching art to students in the elementary school. You know, when I was thinking about how to close this out, I was thinking about a time that I was preparing for a speech with the Tarpon Springs Rotary Club, and I was talking to former Congressman Mike Belarakis about that, and I was going to talk about St. Pete College. And he said to me something that resonated. He said, you know, when you're going to talk about St. Pete College, there are so many good things that one can say. And I think that this partnership with Pinellas County School System and working with the teachers and working to teach young children to think critically and to appreciate art is one of the good things that you can say about St. Petersburg College. That ends my report this morning, Mr. Chairman. I'll be happy to address any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Carney. Questions from anyone?
Marvelous idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's great. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Oliver, I'd like to echo Dr. Law's comments. The event, the opening dedication for the Policy Institute was a great event. I got to sit at the table with Congressman Young and Dr. Cutler, and it was a beautiful day. Well done.
Thank you. Great team effort, and it was well done. And thank you for this opportunity to talk about the Seminole campus, and congratulations again, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Burke. Today we're going to talk about signage and scenery. We are very blessed, along with our academic programs, to have beautiful naturally surroundings. It means we walk on the wild side from time to time, but the natural surroundings are a central focus of the campus and help us define its culture. Those features are part of who we are. It's been part of who we are since the very beginning. We've developed a culture of adding to this natural resources over time. Many of you were at this event. This Congressman Young in 2004 planting a champion buttonwood tree. It's small here, but it's destined to grow to 35 feet tall with a spread of 70 feet. Here's what it looks like today, growing nicely as we expected. We also use the campus greenery as a memorial and recognize folks on the campus. Bruno Zorzo was a landscaper, passed away, a small garden by the TL building. Angel Rodriguez, a beloved custodian who passed away on the job, had a heart attack at work. An angel tree, and there's actually a little angel in that tree. We say angel is looking over us. And this oak, which stands at the front of the Learning Commons for Joyce Burkhart, our first cyber librarian. Her family actually came from California for that memorial service. Of course, Earth Day is always an opportunity to recognize the green prowess on campus, and here's 3 years of planting trees on campus. Our idea is to have a run of trees all throughout the campus over time. And in the spring of 2010, we planted 1,000 trees on campus. It was a real family affair. We had 50-plus students, faculty, and staff either planting or watering or digging. If you drive up Old Ridge Road or 113th Street, you can see those 1,000 trees growing at this time. And of course, the showcase crown jewel of campus scenery is the Natural Habitat Park. Many of you were there for the groundbreaking in August of 2010. It continues to be a place of quiet reflection, a natural beauty, and a lab for our classes, and has led to a number of unexpected benefits. One of them, a walk in the park with Professor Kelly, the head of our environmental science technology program. Kelly Stickrath has a program with the library which she takes children and their parents around campus once a month to tour the Natural Habitat Park. In the spring of 2011, we started a new tradition. Mills Gilbane Building Company donated $2,400 for plants, miscellaneous supplies, t-shirts, and pizza. And as part of a park cleanup effort, we took out 2 truckloads of debris. And again, it was a family affair. This is the children of Mark Blaris, math professor on campus. And then we ended with pizza. There's a student from the very early, pre-early college program enjoying the festivities. We've also, in addition to the one-time and special events, we're blessed to have a wonderful landscaping staff on campus who keeps the campus looking beautiful at all times. That is the butterfly garden. You recognize it maybe from the time that we opened the Habitat Park. It's grown much larger and has many more butterflies and bugs of various sorts at this time. And these are flowers that were actually planted as part of that park cleanup along the trail. We've also noticed that we're trying to integrate signage and scenery on campus. When we opened the Habitat Park, one of the things we learned is that people didn't know where it was. And so the facilities staff added some signage, and you can see what those signs look like now getting us to campus. We've recently been paying a lot more attention to signage internal to the campus. And here is an example of that connection to signage and scenery. The addition of the Habitat Park sign there tells you how we've added to those signs. I was really excited and hope to be able to show you 4 new signs. The campus has added, it's actually almost a wayfinding program, 4 large signs so that students, when they come to campus, they're able to find their way to the appropriate buildings. But those signs, ironically, are being installed this morning. So it's going to have to be another meeting for you to wait to see those signs. But I can show you some, what we're affectionately calling the Burma Shave signs, which we're putting around campus to direct students during registration period to the areas of the campus which are most important for new students as they drive in. We're using language that students can understand. Payments, not something like the bursar's office, but payments, they know where to come, they know where to register, they know where to pay. All focused on a single goal: register here, register now. Register now so that you can avoid the long lines of August. It's like the students say, with the Seminole, when it comes to the Seminole campus, Seminole, see if I can get this to work, Seminole, Seminole rocks. All right, I could have done without that last bit. But the combination and the work that's been done, I was very pleased at the last meeting at the Health Center when the landscapers were introduced. And I want to tell you, we don't take that for granted either. We don't take the beautiful campus for granted, the work that you've done to support that phase of what we do. It shows, and we thank you. Questions or comments?
Questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Oliver. Thank you. Ms. Ulmer, good morning.
Good morning. There was a popular rock and roll song back in the 1950s called Summertime Blues. And in that song, Eddie Cochran, the artist, claimed there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. Well, I'm here today to refute that claim. I think SPC downtown and midtown have indeed found a cure for the summertime blues in the initiatives that we have undertaken over the summer term. I'd like to first share our engagement with students at Gibbs High School. At Gibbs High School, there were 18 students who had a 3.0 or better GPA, but did not pass the FCAT, so they would not be eligible for a standard diploma. Their only other hope was to get a retake of the ACT and score an 18 on that retake in order to get a standard high school diploma. Gibbs High School Principal Kevin Gordon and SPC staff joined together in a meeting with students and their parents on Thursday night, May the 26th, to encourage them to participate in a one-week intensive ACT prep program in preparation for the ACT retake on June the 11th. The Gibbs Alumni Association and others covered the cost of that exam. The week leading up to the exam, 14 students met daily at the All-State Center to receive instruction in reading, writing, and mathematics from our faculty. They also spent a morning with our counselor, our downtown counselor, Jerry Cade, talking about test anxiety and test-taking skills. 13 students sat for the ACT retake exam. Unfortunately, none of the students passed. But that's not the end of the story. The students and their parents were gathered again at the All-State Center on Thursday night, July the 12th. The message they heard that evening was, "Don't give up." Students who have gone through high school with a 3.0 or better GPA are not losers. We are here to help you find a way to continue your education. Watson Haynes and Willie Felton and many others are continuing to work with these students and their parents. 9 of these students have applied to SPC and have started the GED program downtown with the anticipation of passing the GED and moving on in their academic endeavors. I think these students and their parents gained tremendous respect for the college and our commitment to their success. Through this experience, I think they were able to appreciate that the partnership with SPC and Gibbs High School, that the partnership that we have formed with Gibbs High School is not a sprint, but a marathon. We are willing to go the distance, and we are with these students. They will continue on with us, and I just appreciate all the efforts that everyone have put into making sure that these students did not give up. The work we've done this summer with Pinellas County Job Corps students also represents a work in progress. On June the 14th, we tested 20 Job Corps students downtown. These students returned on June the 28th for a special face-to-face orientation designed specifically for them. All 20 students have applied for financial aid, and we're continuing to work very closely with these students to get them registered for SPC. Another program that we're very proud of is the Cecil B. Keene College Reach Out program at Midtown. This summer program targets students in grades 8 through 11. Striving for academic excellence is the theme for this year's program, and we have 30 students participating. The program emphasizes SAT vocabulary with a strong focus on reading and mathematics. In addition to 2 Pinellas County staff members, there are 2 SPC Downtown Midtown faculty providing instruction in reading and mathematics. The closing program for the students and their families at Midtown will happen on Thursday evening, July 28th. This is the second year we've been engaged in that program at Midtown, and I will tell you the closing event is inspirational when you see what these students have done in this program. Finally, in an effort to get students to register early for the fall term, SPC Downtown held a registration party on Monday night, June the 20th. Posters went up all over campus encouraging students to come by and register, and the Chick-fil-A cow would help them register. One of our staff members donned the Chick-fil-A cow costume and indeed helped students register. It was a great success. We had over 120 students register for fall during that program. So I think indeed we found a cure for the summertime blues. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ulmer. I just have one question. Is the person that wore the cow costume in this room?
Not.
Any questions? Mr. Burke?
Yes.
I know we're going to vote on an amendment to the crop program later on in the board meeting, and it says the Florida Department of Education. Is that strictly a state program, or does that get federal dollars? Is that a federal program administered through the state?
Does anyone, could you answer that?
Board trustees, only because I worked in the college reach out program. The college reach out program was established by state, basically by state law. It is a state funded program through the Florida Department of Education.
Thank you.
Mr. Gibbons?
I don't have a question. Thank you for your report. I have a question of Dr. Law, really. Dr. Law, I understand where we have the college reach out program, and I forget what we call it. I know in our Midtown location, we have a bust of and a plaque for Mr. Keene. And if I remember correctly, we were going to try to do that after we did our signage review, that we were going to do that on all of our campuses. And I just wanted to make sure, since I see it up there, I wanted to make sure that was on our plate to do that all over, all of our campuses and sites.
You may have seen me smile when I saw Cecil. Remember that he's a kind soul who helped me a great deal. Let me review where it is. I know I've seen plaques and memorials to him elsewhere. Let me make sure I know the full scope of it, and I just don't know.
The only reason I asked is when I was down at the Midtown site, there was a sign up that said Cecil, not a sign, but a piece of paper that said Cecil Keene, whatever. So I just want to make sure that we're consistent with what we have there everywhere else.
Thank you. I'll do that.
And good morning, and Devin, just on the Clearwater campus, we do have that plaque for Cecil in the administration building, so I don't know about the other campuses.
We'll double check.
Good morning. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Operation Graduate. Operation Graduate on the Clearwater campus is a program that we began this summer. It is the inspiration of the Clearwater Chief of Police, Anthony Holloway, who came to us a few months ago and said he was frustrated by the fact that he was beginning to arrest young people in the Greenwood area as early as middle school, and then he continued to arrest them through high school as they progressed to more serious crimes. And by the time they were high school age, many of them were incarcerated. And he was very frustrated with this cycle and wanted to look at some ways to break that. And he had an idea that if we could keep these kids off the street in the summer, that give them something positive to do, that we could prevent that from happening. And so what we decided to do was to bring these young people to the Clearwater campus for a college course for half a day, and the other half a day, the chief was going to find them jobs. And so we put them in class. We gave them 3 college credits for a career preparation class. It's a SLS class that helps them explore their career options and gives them good study skills. In the afternoon, the chief found jobs for them at Target and Publix, places like that. He also obtained rec cards for them, bus passes for them, and we provided various activities for them on Fridays, tours of the HEC campus, of All-State campus, and so on. It's been a very successful program. The students will graduate on Thursday. 17 students started the program. 17 students will finish. Of those 17 students, only 5 were male, and we hope that when we undertake this program again next year that we'll have greater male participation. We'll be expanding the program from the Greenwood area, North and South Greenwood, to also the Woods Valley area that's on about 19 and Drew. And we believe that this program, probably like so many things that we do in education, the value of it won't be known immediately. It'll be many years before we actually see what we did this summer. But in the short run, we've got 17 kids who are interested in coming back to college. Some of those we're going to get signed up for some classes over the summer. I'd like to recognize people who have helped us with this, everybody from United Way of Tampa Bay to the Phillies organization. Francis New and the foundation provided the books. Jeff Sesta worked with Pinellas County Schools to arrange an exemption for these students so they could take dual credit classes even though their GPA wasn't quite high enough. It's been a very successful program, and the chief and I were excited about it. We wanted to do 80 students this summer, but decided to cut it back to a smaller number for a pilot program. But next year we hope to expand it, and we're pretty excited about it. If you have any questions for me.
Question. Stan, if it's working well in that one particular area, could we expand this to our whole service area? And I guess the question goes to you, Dr. Law. There are other areas of our community that probably could use this same type of program by just, I guess, monitoring the police chiefs in the other areas and say, hey, look, this is a good idea. It's working. Do you want to participate with us?
Dr. Vitito knows that's exactly the direction I gave him was let's get through it. We need the police chief to feel that it is of value to him, and then we will, of course, our relationships with the law enforcement community are excellent, so we can grow that. I think next month I'd like to come back though on the bigger picture for our outreach and support for minority males. Even after we finish the budget, I'm not comfortable that our plan is strong enough, and we're doing some work as we speak to enhance that. So, Mr. Johnson, if I can tee that up for next month, I think I can bring we need to be doing more. What we're doing is great. I'm happy for it. I think when the dust settled after the budget, I didn't think we had put enough energy in there, so we're trying to realign some resources.
I'll be looking toward your report next month.
Any other questions? Mr. Burke?
What's the duration of the program?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. And is the commitment on the jobs, the half-day commitment for just those 6 weeks?
I don't know that answer.
Did you have a target number of students that you were trying to recruit?
Well, we shot for 20 and ended up with 17. We think, if we have a little more time and have more opportunity to recruit, we can do better. The chief has funding for the program. He's using seized assets money from the drug drug forfeiture program to pay for it. So there seems to be additional funds available. So
that's great. Great. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on through the agenda, just a point of order. We neglected to make a formal adoption of the retirement resolution, so if I could have a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. On to the agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items 6, approve these items with discussion if needed. Items 6, 7, through H of number 7. Can we do that?
Can
With
we just
questions
take
if needed.
I was going to ask, Mr. Chair, if I could just go ahead and approve all the way up to item K, and we can still have the discussion.
Sure.
Move the motion.
That's fine.
So I
So
make
all of 6 and 7.
all of 6 and 7, make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, discussion.
I have a question in regards to, when we get into the exempt purchases and what have you, I assume that all of these items are in our budget, and maybe that as we get through these in the future, if there's anything that's not in the budget, it could be so stated so that we know that's kind of a budget amendment. Is that a possibility? Okay, thank you.
And pardon me, I got a little ahead of the game here. Mr. Leopold, my apologies.
Okay, you can approve it. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning to the board. I just want to inform you a little bit about the changes that we made with regard to the learning beyond the classroom. I have a brief PowerPoint. It's not as colorful as Dr. Oliver's, but it will bring the point around succinctly. Here it is. Or maybe not. Here you go. Got it. Why do we need a new model? There are several reasons that we need a model to enhance the student learning experience outside the classroom. My point. A review of literature and existing models strongly favor a movement toward integrating libraries and learning commons. In the past, we have not done a service to students with regards to the integration of these two services. When I did an exhaustive search of literature, I saw that things were changing in the 1980s and the 90s with regards to combining learning commonses and libraries in order to bring students or to co-locate them so that they're by the resources and the personnel that they need to succeed. Existing models abound. We see them at Valencia Community College, which is now Valencia College, Tallahassee Community College, Daytona State, and in other states it's very common that we have students experiencing a library and a learning commons in the same location. Success is evident in student outcomes, satisfaction with services, faculty-student interaction, and degree completion. After all, those are the things that we want. And finally, historically, as I'd said before, learning beyond the classroom was relegated to libraries and learning commons. That's acceptable, but they did not meet, or they were not integrated to any great extent at the college. They were varied by campus. As you know, the campuses are unique. They have their own culture, their own personality. So I am proposing that we pilot a new way for students. It's a pilot in the sense that it will occur at only 2 locations. We're going to try it, see how it works. I have unwavering support so far from college leadership, from campus leadership, from facilities and other folks who are part of this. The College of Education and I have spoken quite a bit, and the library staff and learning support commons people are engaged in the process and are willing to go forward. It is to create a writing studio in the St. Pete Gibbs and Clearwater libraries that will involve relocating staff from the learning support commons into strategic areas of the libraries. So, and forgive me to just talk through a little bit so that you might have questions. What we'll do is taking our communications people who are engaged in the writing process for students, whether the writing process involves ENC 1101 or papers that they might have to write for American National Government or general psychology or humanities, moving them into the libraries in strategic places so that they're connected to the librarians and the research that needs to be there. Students will find their way in, they'll meet with the writing instructional assistants, they'll get help there, and they'll also find librarians who are waiting for them to kind of move into the research stage of their writing. The benefits are several, and I tried to give you some takeaways. It'll be a little bit easier. We want to provide students more opportunities to learn. It can't be that learning only occurs in the classroom or at several disparate places on campuses. Those places need to be integrated, and we need to create, as I'd heard someone say with regards to college campuses, they need to be sticky places, places where students want to come in and they want to stay. We want to increase the interaction with other students, sorry for the additional S, staff and faculty. If students are there in the library, learning commons and they're hanging out, drinking coffee, talking, working through whatever they need to get done, they're going to have a better chance to succeed by interacting with faculty who may be more willing stakeholders in their learning process beyond the classroom once they attach themselves to the writing studio and begin to put this concept into their curriculum. And then the third benefit or takeaway would be to enable students to complete their coursework and ultimately their degree programs. That's it. Questions, please.
Given the situation in Clearwater of the library in such bad shape, and I applaud the librarians who work there for doing the best that they can, how are you going to make this program work there? And where are you going to make it work in the Clearwater?
When you come into the library, initially we had thought of a couple different locations for it in that library, and it's a good question. We had thought maybe upstairs, maybe downstairs on the right when you come into that building behind the reference desk. But recently, in speaking with Dr. Vidito and some of the facilities personnel and other folks in the Library and Learning Support Commons, we're going to have students come into the back left corner where the paralegal materials were located. There are several conference rooms for students. It's a big area where students can kind of come in and collect and convene. We're going to begin, hopefully, making arrangements to clear out some of that space shortly. That library is really usable space. In particular, that whole well of that library is usable, and it's changed, as you might have seen. The reference area is now a bunch of low stacks that have been, it's really lovely now. There's a lot more open space than there was with those blue stacks that take up so much space and kind of block vision. But if you go into the library and you look to the back left, that's where there'll be a room dedicated. We can call it the writing studio. And again, it has several breakout rooms for students. We can put a whiteboard in there and begin working with them on things that are appropriate for the writing grammar lessons, how to integrate MLA, APA research into their writing.
And this is probably more geared towards Mrs. Ryder, is this concept which Mr. Leopold talked about in Valencia and Daytona and Tallahassee, and I know you showed us a master plan for the Clearwater campus with the new library. Have we considered that those examples as potentially in our new plan, our plan?
Since we've purchased the church property and we have engaged the firm that had worked on our master plan before, we are re-looking at all of the possibilities, particularly related to the library and some other opportunities that we may have with the community and the library. So that is a pertinent discussion. It's not only a pertinent discussion for that campus, but we have been talking with Joe about the same type of scenario with looking at many of our college campuses as we move forward with our master planning.
Other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, Joe's a world-class classroom instructor, and he was as nervous as he could be about coming before this board. And I think he did a really good job this morning. But
it's easy when you get them alone, you know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Liley Toon-Jaron. I am an ESL instructor of many years here, and now I am the lead faculty associate for our new Center of Excellence for Teaching and Learning, CETL. And we've got a lot of initiatives, but I'd like to talk about just one this morning, if I may. And this is onboarding our new faculty. To start with, I just wanted to look at a theoretical model. I'm a teacher. Called TPAC, which is this notion of having technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge, and the interaction of these, and how important having all of these within our realm of teaching is. This is a Misha and Kohler, it's not from me, okay? They're at Michigan State University. We have great faith in our deans and our program chairs that they're hiring people that come in with, right? They have knowledge of their discipline. They have technology skills. They know how to teach. You know, they're not just the rocket scientists, they know how to teach rocket science. Those are the types of people that typically come in as teachers. What we're adding at CETL, am I clicking the right button, is overlaying what does this mean when you come into St. Petersburg College. We need to look at our institution. So what we're doing with the new faculty who have come on this year to teach in August, number one, is that they've been hired early enough that we can work with them this summer. That's awesome. So we've already met twice. In May, they were invited to see some CETL presentations. A few were able to come. In June, on June 17th, our deans, their faculty mentors, Dr. Law stopped in. You know, we had a big welcome for them here at EPI, at district office. Last month, just last week, in July, we met on the Tarpon campus, and each time that we meet, once per month throughout the whole academic year, this is sort of serving as the unofficial bus tour. Because what we're doing is each of the provosts that are here are hosting this group of new faculty each month. So we're meeting on a different campus, and they have homework to do before each of our meetings. We have an angel course where basically it's being taught in a blended format. So as we go over institutional goals, missions, our role in the community, and all these things that we've been talking about today, each of these things we come together and discuss, and then they continue on their own online between. They meet with their mentors between. So they meet with me, and there are 6 CETL associates helping me on each of the campuses. So when we come to these campuses, the logistics and so on are really put upon the shoulders of those faculty champions on that campus. So far, it's worked great because we were able to get in early enough for these people to come in and work through my SPC, make sure their email runs. They know how to open up their angel course, etc. Way, way, way ahead of time versus 2 days before the semester begins. So that's just one of our initiatives, but working with this new faculty cohort will become a model, we hope, where each year, the first year that people are here on the job with us, they're really oriented to our institution before they step through the classroom door. They're ready when they walk through the classroom door. And the technology piece is so important. What we want is people that are, they have a facility with technology. It's just an extension of their teaching rather than walking up and saying, oh, I'd love to use that Elmo, but no one ever showed me. That's what we're really looking for. So I was told I could only have one slide. So can I take any questions?
Good stuff.
That's good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Other questions regarding agenda items 7, 6 and 7?
Sure.
Mr. Burke.
First of all, I'm going to apologize, and I already apologized to Dr. Law. I was tardy in reading my board book, and I let him know yesterday afternoon I was not going to be able. Usually I email all my questions, and he answers most of them before we even get to the board meeting. And I apologize to you again, Dr. Law. I hate to do this but I couldn't
well
late
received.
last
Thank
night go through the board book. On the quarterly usual item number 8 of $199,000 for Epson projectors and high security, and it doesn't mention which campus that is. On some of these, if you have it now, that'd be great.
That's
If not,
college-wide, so that is the standard replacement package, so each year at about that level, and Doug was how many, I forget how many, Doug may have the exact answer on this one.
I think there's a little over 100. I asked the provosts early. So on, and so that's, we identified those places and we're replacing them now.
Thank you. On the next item, which is the C1, which is the quarterly information report on contract items, Dr. Law, I'm not sure what happened, but it seems like there's lots of items here. I point out 35, 36, 37, 39, 40, 92, which none of them have campus identification. And if we can just be more clear on these things, that if something's a campus item, to tell us which campus. If it's college-wide, tell us it's college-wide. On service contracts, I assume they're college-wide, but on these where it says it's buying equipment and so forth, it does help me to know where these things going. And we did that and somehow got away from that. So if we can just do that, I would appreciate
We
it.
have the Dell is an interesting problem. I mean, we have a master agreement, and as we order them for the campuses, technically it creates a new contract each time, but they're all off a master list that's planned, and I think we ought to take some time every so often to say, here's what the replacement plan looks like. I'm bragging on stuff I didn't do. It's a pretty sophisticated replacement plan, and you see the Dell computers for each of the sites. We're happy to list the sites. I think that would answer your question.
Just is helpful. Item number 16, the Bay Care Health System says to expand enrollment in nursing programs to assist in alleviating the nursing shortage in the Tampa Bay area. And this is something I had a conversation, and I know just out there in the field that nursing has changed over the last year and a half, 2 years, where a lot of folks who were in nursing have gone back into nursing. You know, there's a lot of people in nursing certificates, but chose other careers because due to burnout now because of the economy are all coming back. And actually, I was told that we actually had a hard time placing our graduates in recent semesters. So I just questioned, and I don't expect an answer today, but I would appreciate knowing, because this board's been very committed to adding nursing slots. Is there still the demand for nurses that there was 4 or 5 years ago, or we certainly don't want to produce people who don't have job possibilities, are very, very difficult to get a job possibility.
I mentioned to you that Phil Nicotera is on vacation this week, but I think this is more of a handshake deal so that Bay Care can use it for employee development, Mr. Burke. They identify slots, and they identify qualified candidates from within their staff, and then we pick the candidates so that they can, one, assure a flow of nurses into their needs, and two, they can use it for their own staff development tracking. But let me double check, but that's what I was able to find quickly.
And then number 18, and this concerns the foundation, where we purchased fairly expensive software, over $100,000 between the software and the related travel. And I hope when we have that foundation report, we talk about what's, here we're approving, we're not approving its information item, but it's a $100-some thousand software for the foundation, and I think it would be good to hear what this is all about and what it means to us and what changes take place. The item 56 and 57, I was surprised just that the pinning ceremony for the nursing graduation was actually more expensive than our entire graduation ceremony at the same location. Why is that?
I don't know.
I would think it's a lot smaller group of people in the pinning ceremony than our graduation ceremony, and one's $6,800, and our graduation ceremony $5,695. So we know, if we can get an answer on that, I would appreciate it. 64, the audit on the charter high school, is that something that we bid out on occasion? Do you know, Doug?
Yes.
And was this bid out at this time on this agreement with the accounting firm which has traditionally done it, or have we just when's the last time we bid this out? Do we have any idea?
The end of last fiscal year, we did a request through Teresa's office, and we did an RFP and selected the auditors for that.
Okay, and so this fee was the most competitive of that? Was it that type of bid on the audit, on fee-based?
Fee-based was part of the
Okay.
request, yes.
And the only other question is, and Dr. Law, I think this is one of your items, actually 2 more questions. Meridian strategies for doing with government affairs?
Which item are you looking at?
82.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? What benefit of that is?
Oh, that's a very important benefit, that we use Meridian Strategies in some very significant eyes and ears on the ground in Tallahassee. They provide direct support for us in interacting with some government agencies. When we try to interact with the governor's office, if we don't have success, we go through Meridian Strategies. They help us with some of the financial pieces. Okay, so of the contracts I have, this one is the one I use the most for my Tallahassee touches.
How long have we been with this firm? Is this a new, recent thing, or is this?
It was here when I got here. I
Okay.
think we've had it for a number of
And
years.
does Mr.
okay?
Woodruff work with this firm as
Very
far as?
closely, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to know how it all works.
Yes. This one does a number of things with the state public policy, okay? And it's very well placed for
Great.
us to get good answers.
Just to
I
piggyback.
have one last question.
I'm
after
sorry,
Mr.
I'm
Gibbons.
sorry.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I just wanted to comment on that for you, Mr. Burke. I would tell you that this is a very, 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 very good group of people.
And Ms. Gardner, I noticed at the end it said that contracts not exceeding 325. I thought our limit was 250 on the contracts. Did we change that at some time, and I just don't recall?
The statute changed to 325.
Oh, it was a statute change.
Yes, Category 5.
Did we, but I think what Mr. Burke is saying, did we as a board ever go from 250 to 325?
We have in the board rule Category 5, and the statute for Category 5 did increase.
Okay, but if it changed, do we have to approve it, though?
You would have to approve it over 325.
If the legislature changes it, the board rule reflects alignment with the
Okay,
legislative
okay,
matters.
okay.
So this is, when, was this a recent, or was this a year ago?
A year ago.
It was about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't pay attention to that before. Thanks. That's it.
All right. Any other questions?
I had a question, if, and I think you're going all the way through 7, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a question or two on I, the financials.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have a report on those last 3 items, and so I think.
Okay.
But before we get to that,
Terry, I'm sorry. I forgot we're going, my other questions on the other ones were later. On D1A, that's the U.S. Department of Labor grant. It says the total project budget is $4.8 million. Of this amount, the college anticipates receiving $1.2 million over the same 4-year period. And the chart shows us receiving 1.2 and spending 1.2. Where does the 4.8 come into being? Stan, I think, is going to address that. Dr. Benedetto.
We are partners in that grant with WorkNet Pinellas, and WorkNet Pinellas will receive part of that money as well as other partners in the grant.
So the 1.2 is just our section of the 4.8?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And then the only other items is, are the, I want to point out, because the book talks about the two, the Perkins Funds and the National Science Foundation. And especially on the Perkins Fund, it looks like it may be a state of Florida thing, and really that's run through the state of Florida. But, you know, board members, that's something our board, working nationally, because that's a congressional appropriation. And that's something, when we go up to the NLS, that's something we help champion, because that's been taken out of the budget several times, and we've had to have it placed back in there. And the National Science Foundation, it's, again, that's something we've advocated nationally, because the president's budget last time, and I'm sure he didn't have it, was the universities pulled a fast one. They took all the funding out for non-universities out of that. And so you see we get 2 funding sources on those grants. One's for $1 million-something, which runs all our disability programs, and the National Science Foundation, I think that's in here for several $100,000. Those 2 potentially could have been taken away from us if we didn't do that advocacy we do with our sister and brother colleges throughout the nation. So anyway, I think we deserve credit for constantly pushing on that agenda.
thank you, Mr. Burke. Anything else? I have a question on item 7E3, the list of approved contractors. First of all, I appreciate the notation of the minority contractors. That's helpful. My question that we touched on at a previous meeting, I don't know that I got an answer. What effort is made by the college to recruit additional minority contractors?
A very significant and recent effort. So if you'd like, we can take, I'm looking at Susan Wimmer. We literally just last month had a meeting at Midtown where we were reaching out. Maybe
Great.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear about
I can
it.
expand on that too, Terry,
Great.
Mr. Chair. On last month, we had a sort of a reach out day, not just to minority contractors, but to the entire community, asking them to come out and learn more about the programs, one of which was our the program we just started, the Learn to Earn program. And that was kind of centered around that. As a result of us doing that at the Midtown campus, or having that event at the Midtown campus, Miss Ryder also put out information that she would be there, as she was, and some of her staff, myself, Dr. Williams, and so on. And so, I mean, there was a bunch of folks from the college, someone from J.C. Brock's shop. I mean, there was about, I would say, 15 to 20 of our staff people there that really were trying to reach out to the entire minority community. In terms of minority contractors, there were some 5 to 10, I think, that maybe came through that day. Ms. Ryder was there talking to them about how to get on the bidders list, what do you need to do, what are the qualifications. I actually went out, during the day and sought out some folks and told them that she was there. So that was one of the most recent things that have been done. I will tell you that any minority contractor that I run into, I've asked them to call Susan Ryder and meet with her, and she has had an open door policy to them. And I've been impressed with the fact that she takes the time, in fact, so much so that sometime I owe her a dinner now because somebody stood her up. But I think she has made a very valiant effort in trying to include minority contractors, because going forward we're going to, and this is not because of me, she's been doing this, I've just been trying to help and facilitate. But again, at the Midtown campus on last month, I think she spent the whole Saturday there trying to make sure that everybody that came through had an opportunity to be on that list.
We actually did this project with a joint effort with the City of St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And we are going to do a larger effort with the City of St. Petersburg once we get through with the summer here, have our books closed, get classes started. So it will be a how to do business with St. Petersburg College, how to do business with the City of St. Petersburg. And the City of St. Petersburg was represented at this event that we had, and they put this event on their website. We had it on our website. Information out there. There's a couple other things going on that Saturday, so people there. Tanja Williams was there. Watson Haynes came by. We have about 13 contractors that we have identified. We went ahead and took the names of those subcontractors and provided them to our general contractors that are doing work for us presently, so that they would have those names available. We've provided every one of them with a packet of information, as Mr. Gibbons said, on how to get on this small contractors list. They're not on this list right now because we just had the event at the end of June, middle of June. So we're going to work with them, getting their paperwork in and getting as many on this list as we can. And then we'll have that larger event as we move forward.
How do you reach out to them so that they know that there's an event to come and learn?
I think that we're going to have to put together to do that. There's a couple of neighborhood associations there. There's the Deuces in that neighborhood, new organization, that's the name of them, and we've met those folks already, have been engaged with them as we move forward with our Midtown project. So I think there's a definite way to get the word out. Tanja provided the information to the churches. Again, I think with the help of the City of St. Petersburg and some of their advertising initiatives and our advertising initiatives, that we can go ahead and pull a number of those folks in. I think the other thing that will help us, it's not immediate, but as soon as we start talking about our new Midtown project, today you're looking at architects. We're going to talk about how we get a contractor in there. But as soon as we start that initiative, I think that's going to help us to have folks come to us again and talk about how do we get there. How can we be a part of this in that neighborhood?
And the following agenda item relative to the approval of Harvard Jolly for the Midtown
Yes.
site. Is there a similar effort relating to the recruitment of architectural firms? Is that, would you lump the architectural firms into this category as well?
We, we interviewed, we had 21 submittals. We had no minority-owned architectural firms. There aren't any really in St. Petersburg African-American owned architectural firms. Harvard Jolly came to the table with work in this area, already having done the Johnny Booth Clark, and you might have seen there's an architect that works for them. His name is Chad. He's been here before working with our students at the Clearwater campus. Chad is an African-American intern architect with Harvard Jolly who will be actively involved in this design project in that area, and I think that will be great for the community to see that. We made every effort. Watson Haynes is here if you'd like to have some input from Watson on this selection and the focus on providing not just a minority, but an African-American connection to the architectural firm that's going to do this job. And not just a connection, but a firm that has been involved in that community.
Right.
Harvard Jolly did the Johnny Booth Clark Hospital. They've done a number of the middle schools. They support the care fair that's going on at Johnny Booth Clark, and as a matter of fact, it's going on, I think it's August 6th this year. They will provide volunteers for that and also financial support for that event. So they're very involved in that community and have been for a number of years, just not a one-time thing.
I understand. Great. Mr. Johnson.
Well, Susan, what is your intent to design the Midtown campus to complement the Johnny Booth Clark immediately to the south of that, their facility?
Would like for us to look at a design that does exactly that, that we put something there that looks like it belongs on that piece of property and is integrated with that community. So yes, we will definitely consider that.
I think that would be a worthwhile endeavor, and I'm glad to see that you're doing that. I had one more question while Susan's still up there. The item 7E2 is the capital improvement program.
Yes.
We approved the draft, and I didn't save a copy, but is this the same as the draft we approved?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that was
it
my
Okay.
is.
question.
Dr. Law.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for those questions. I did want to take just a second with this item on the table. I had a very good meeting last week with Elihu Brayboy, the president of the Deuces Live, which is the community-based organization devoted toward focusing on Midtown development. And they were very enthusiastic about working with us, and they promised to help us put together a series of community meetings to help scope out the new building and to build partnership from day one. So when we walked through, and they were understanding that this board had moved quickly because of some events that we may or may not control. I feel very encouraged about that. They did ask us to keep at it with the workshops. They again, there's never enough communication, but they were pleased. There's more to be done. So I think we have started that process, and we will have a series of meetings after Labor Day that start talking about what do we really want to do in that building. So.
Great. Thank you. Okay, before we get to the financial report, are there any other questions on any of the other previous agenda items? Okay, financial.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've, as you know, we ended our fiscal year. What I provided to you, however, is not the closed fiscal year. Our books have not closed, and we will, there we go. We will provide you a detailed financial report of how we ended the year at the August meeting. Right now, though, the good news is that we will end the year with a surplus. I think on the financial report we provided to you It was around 3 million. Then it will vary a little bit from that before we update all the books and close out. For this, since last month, the last 2 months of the year, as you know, tend to be our lowest revenue and our highest expense. This year was particularly good in that we got a very early start on a lot of fall term preparations. Some of that you saw reflected in the contracts and the information items. We've spent considerable funds that were in our budget to improve the online registration system. That contract was in there. To improve all the map centers, Susan's group's been doing a great job getting all of our student service registration centers up to date and enhanced, and they're very nice, and we'll also show those to you next month. For the most part, the increase in expenses was due to that early jump on fall term preparations, and I don't know if y'all are aware, but we meet every Wednesday morning on a conference call with the provost, and we go through all the checklist of items, and we're making very good progress. A couple of other, we did make a payment on the JWB purchase, which also increased a little bit, and then we also had the summer, that actually should say textbook credits. We also had a large bill for the summer textbook credit expense. But again, the books are not yet closed. Teresa and her staff are working very hard on that, and we will bring that final report to you in August.
Has the JWB, is that closed?
Yes, yes.
I had a couple questions.
Mr. Johnston.
Doug, it would help me, and I don't know about the rest of the board, but in your this report, I don't know whether you can.
Yes, I have it.
You have the last, almost next to the last column is year-on-year variance.
Right.
And I think probably for the end of the year, it might be, at least to me, a better analysis of the variances is that the compare the year to the budget.
I agree. We'll do that when we bring the final.
The final, okay.
Yes, we'll do that
Just
for you.
something I think I would relate better to than the way you presented it here, because once we adopt our budget, it gives us a better feeling of how close we were to it.
Agreed.
We had that meeting in my office yesterday afternoon.
Yes.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I know, and I indicated that's what we have to bring forward is we'll compare the year closing to the year beginning and talk about that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Well, I had one more on
Thank you.
the textbook credit summary.
Yes.
If I understand this correctly, the net result of that was $600,000 roughly.
Right.
That it cost us for that school book program.
Yes. The
textbook program.
It actually, the total cost was around $900, but as you can see, the additional,
right.
The bookstore sales were through the roof. They were up over 40% this year.
This, I think, was a very successful program.
Yes, it was, and very much appreciated.
Why was it up over 40%?
I would say the credit. The books Follett, I've met with the manager several times, and it is, I think, a combination of the credit and an expansion of the online. We also got the financial aid book line of credit to where it could be used online, whereas in prior you had to stand in line. But I think it was primarily the textbook credit. That's what they attributed to.
You got a call when
And
I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to
Yes.
have my memory refreshed. Are we continuing on with
Yes.
that credit?
Yes.
Have we decided to do the
For this year, yes.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have a scholarship presentation. Is that correct?
Well, they have not arrived.
Okay.
These are our friends from Tallahassee. They haven't arrived to help
Well,
us.
we'll defer that for the time being then.
Mr. Chairman, there may be one order of business. They handed me a note. I don't think the June minutes were,
Yes,
they were? Okay, all
They
right,
were.
good enough, thanks.
Okay, well, perhaps we should wait to have a formal approval on items 6 and 7 until we have the scholarship presentation. Dr. Law, do you want to go with your report?
I think my items were pretty much the ones I gave you. I can filibuster if we want to do that. I believe I have done all the good.
Well, you know what? If you don't have a report, I have a question.
Sir.
Do we know what our job placement rate for our baccalaureate program is?
I don't have it with me today. We monitor some parts pretty well. Some parts are a little more amorphous. So in the health fields, for instance, it's often easier to track a student who leaves us and goes into work. In some fields, it's nowhere near as straightforward as that. So the answer to your question is we know some, but we don't know as much as we might want to.
You're talking about the Florida Trend article?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have it here, and I shared it a little bit with Dr. Law. Did you get a chance to see that?
I do this every day for a living. Yes, sir. We have it's the enduring problem in two things. Sometimes the student has the only way we can effectively monitor students is when they get some form of state certification, and then we have ways to link our information with state information. It lags a little bit, but we can get it. If it's student self-reported, it really is just that. I mean, it is very non-technical in its role. Then the other part, I sound like it's all problems, and it is. It's very difficult for us. Our students, as soon as they're eligible for a job, they leave us. So it's, one of our real issues is to keep students enrolled all the way to graduation. But once they have the requisite skills, if it's an area that doesn't require a certification, they go to work. I mean, and there's a big surprise. They need to earn money. One of the things that we're working through with our institutional research staff is a better way to figure that out. We haven't fully tapped the state of Florida employment databases, and we can do a little bit better seeing where our students are.
Do you suspect that some of the percentage numbers that were reflected in these articles are not maybe as accurate as?
They're probably the best available numbers. I don't put any credence in.
Terry, are you just asking about baccalaureate? I didn't see the article.
It was just baccalaureate, yeah.
But that when I look at our population and the makeup of our students, it doesn't seem to worry me that some of these statistics just don't seem to fit us. Because you can't track. I know when I registered, I checked non-degree and audit, and there's no way that someone's going to track me, or should they track me. And I think we probably have a lot of students that are using these facilities that are probably almost non-trackable and shouldn't be in these kind of statistics. I think if a community college is really doing its job, it's a lot of certificate programs. It's a lot of, we just have a different class of students. We're no longer what I think a training ground for the first 2 years for moving on to Florida and Florida State like we were 20 years ago.
That literally is the topic that was being discussed when I made the trip to New York for Achieving the Dream, is how to get better information. So let's look at our baccalaureate in nursing program. Those students can be anywhere in the U.S. They're not just Florida citizens. They're online students getting a bachelor's degree in nursing. Now the plot thickens. They could already be working.
Sure.
So do you get a job placement for somebody who gets a bachelor's degree who's already working or not? You see what happens.
Right.
We're doing great work for that individual and the whole ethos of it. Technically, that doesn't count as a job placement. And we're trying to figure out how to capture the start and finish.
Mr. Burke.
Terry, you showed me the quote from the president of Petersburg College here, and he says graduations are scandalously low. Well, first of all, the evolution of state colleges, for our four-year programs, our graduation rate is very good.
No, graduation rate is fine.
for the four-year programs. A person who gets admitted into our four-year program, what is that graduation rate?
No, it's very high throughput.
It's very high.
High
I mean,
80s, low
so
90s.
that evolution has been very successful. I mean, a person entering our four-year nursing program, our four-year dental hygiene, our four-year
Orthotics.
legal assistance, the prosthetics program, the dental hygiene, all those, the business, the banking program, and maybe they can, at our next board meeting, you can get us those
We do
statistics
those.
per program, but I know our graduation rate on those is probably over in the 70–80% range. And that probably compares favorably with any of the universities in the state of Florida. Where they constantly get us on is that undeclared student who comes in here, who needs a lot of remediation to just get college ready. And that's where, you know, I challenge anyone to take a student who's not college ready and measure their completion rate and say that they can outdo us. That they're not outdoing us because they're not taking a student who's they're taking students who are college ready. I mean, look at the state university system where, my gosh, you need practically a 4.0 grade point average to get into our state university. So, you know, I think that's our, you know, but we need probably the data that Mr. Brett's talking about on our four-year programs, especially to say, to show what our statistics are and compare them with these other folks. And then measure it against how many of your students are working 20 hours a week or more and achieving their four-year degree. And then, you know, because I'm sure at Eckerd College, their students aren't working 20 hours plus a week, plus going to school to achieve their four-year degree.
Well, the essence of this article was Miami-Dade's argument that their baccalaureate program is working, and it's under criticism by the Don Eastmans of the world. The job placement rate for Miami-Dade's baccalaureate
Terry,
program...
you shouldn't trust guys who wear bow ties.
Don Eastman used to be a friend of mine. Was 94% in 08-09, compared with 91% at Florida International University and 86% for the state university system as a whole. So my question was, I was just wondering where we were
Ours are
plugged
probably in there, so if they have those, then we've reported on
And I
it.
just read an article, I think,
I've read it.
in the St. Pete Times the other day, speaking of the tuition rate at Eckerd College,
Right.
too.
Right.
Yeah, and Don Eastman did answer that too. But I just don't think that our students, the way we're structured and the products we're producing are compatible to, we're still more of a community college, and we're a communities college, where the rest of these have a much more particular purpose. And as Ken has well pointed out, they come in with a 4.0, and they do move on to graduation. Well, you can't compare our students to that. The only comparisons I've seen that were years ago were our transfer students
Right.
that moved on into the state university system, and our graduates from St. Petersburg College, then it was community colleges, were doing just as good grade-wise as the native students who entered in their freshman year. Now, whether those, where's Tom Furlong? Tom might know the answer to that. Whether those statistics are still available or not, I don't know. Or with the state system that we now have, where a lot of our students are staying right here and not moving on like they traditionally used to. I don't know whether those numbers are still available.
They're there.
Mr. Chair, in the essence of time, I know that we're waiting on the scholarship folks, but I really have to go.
Did we vote, by the way?
No,
we have not yet.
We have not voted, and I don't want to leave before we vote.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do that. We've had the discussion. Any other questions on items 6 and 7? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I think the
Okay, so
president's done with his report.
He is. Any other future agenda items?
One last thing.
Mr. Burke?
We need to schedule that meeting with the USF State People
Okay.
and us.
Okay. Okay. Our next meeting is Tuesday, August 16th, here at the Epicenter, and I think that is a tentative, I see. Is that right? It's marked in parentheses, it says tentative, is that a fact? Yeah, so we still have to yet confirm that, okay. Marcia, I want to thank you for your assistance in this meeting and moving forward. We appreciate it very much. The book and the packet was very impressive,
Now,
very nice.
Marcia, do you want the books back so we don't?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would think you
Recycle
would,
them.
then you can recycle them.
And what I might suggest, now, do we have some folks that are on the way here? Is that it?
They haven't arrived.
But they're on the way?
They were supposed to be here.
Okay, well, what I might suggest is that we adjourn, and those of us who can stay, I'll be able to stay for a period of time, and anyone else who would like to be able to stay for that presentation, I think that would be great. Is that okay?
That's good.
The State College Foundation has a check presentation to us. They receive funds and then divvy them up to all of us, so.
Great, great. So anyone who can stay, we would love for you to stay. The more the merrier, but I know folks have to move on, some of us do. So thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Marcia, can you take the contents